Yeah, but I think I think something that gets missed or maybe overlooked too a lot of the times is, kind of like his great mentor Stark, a lot of his problems are self-created. You could almost look to every movie, all four of them. Most of the problems in that movie he kind of creates. Certainly with No Way Home, don't get me started. Um,
Yeah.
but it seems like in every movie he kind of creates all the problems. So it's like, at what point are we going to stop seeing that? I'd like to see that side of his game mature a little bit more and stop creating the problems for him to solve. It's easy to look like a hero when you're fixing your own mistakes.
Damn.
Hello and welcome back to the Premier Squad podcast. It's a brand new day, a brand new pod, and a brand new champion to sit amongst the throne of opening weekend sales. That is Spider-Man and a brand new day. Here I have with me my co-host Ken. I have some guests. I have Dom and Lando here to talk about the phenomenon that is our fourth Spider-Man installment. And firstly, many of us have seen this a couple of times now, and I wanted to give a brief anecdotal experience from Friday. So Thursday night during the premiere, our group of, roughly 12 people came together to see it. And what really took me back Friday night was we were amongst the Mission Valley Mall, on its way back up down here in San Diego. That crowd was, I feel like, just legitimately for a Friday night was like a complete sample of the general audience out there versus Thursday night. I feel like was more of us, more diehards and stuff like that. And I could have sworn almost the entire crowd was 10, 15, 20 years younger than me. Um, and what I really got to experience that night was, right into it when MJ and Peter came together and kissed. The energy from the crowd on thinking that that was the truth. You could see their naivety. I could tell that they were a younger crowd. The gas, they're like, oh my God, like, thank you, they're back. And then how the despair was pushed into them and taken away when they all realized, oh, that's not her. And like for me, like I've talked about previously on here, Spider-Man and MJ and the romances that Spider-Man has had in multiple different versions of him as being one of like the most impactful things about the character, about the icon that is Spider-Man in superhero universe. Really, it showcased to me there that like this Peter, this MJ, by Tom and Zendaya, is one of the most like impactful romances of this generation, that's coming after us. So that was like one of the big things. But after that, Ken, let me hear what your thoughts are on Brand New Day, and whether you want to connect it back to me or you want to go off on your own stuff. Please let me know how you feeling.
Yeah, and anybody feel free to chime in or respond to anything they have to say. But I echo a lot of your own sentiments to now carve my own path. I mean, I thought it was a great experience, great movie. I actually still have it at number two for the Holland movies. It's, I know a lot. The sentiment is that it's the best, but I still have it at number two, only for the simple fact that I would say I liked the way that they did Gene. I like Damage Control, but I don't think they had like a primary antagonist that steps up to that, like is on the same level as Defoe, Doc Ock,
Yeah,
or any of those guys.
yeah,
That's the
Mysterio.
only
Yeah,
reason. Yeah, that's the only reason why I have it a little bit. That's the only reason why I don't put it up there as like one of the greats. But
hmm.
I'll let the team respond to that first before I keep going.
How you feeling about this, Dom?
Yeah, it's an interesting point. So you don't think that Jean Grey is like the best antagonist
Hell no.
for the movie?
No, 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 no,
Yeah,
no.
and
So
and
I
like,
think so.
go
Well,
ahead.
but so Dom, thank you for that. So I think she works very well within the context of the MCU in setting up the mutants. I think she works perfectly for that. I mean, now we understand why anybody on the in the MCU would invest their hard-earned money into the Sentinel program, which I thought they did a good job of executing that. But I just don't. I thought like a strong antagonist, like that's from start to finish. I just don't think that she was on the same level as Green Goblin or Doc
Yeah,
Ock. But wait,
yeah,
hold on,
and I
Dom.
and
Am
okay,
I,
go ahead.
hold on. You putting her up over those characters, or
No. I would say you're right. I thought you were kind of saying that because they the Jean Grey wasn't like. I guess I understand what you're saying is that because Green Goblin is just better than Jean Grey, it makes the movie better than this one.
And
Spider
also
Man
like a
has such
solidified
strong
villain
villains.
role.
Yeah,
Yeah,
thank
Yeah.
you, Jones. Spider Man has such strong. Yeah, I mean, he has an iconic villains rogue gallery similar to like
yes,
Batman. And I think like just Doc Ock, Green Goblin, like just fit that. Now, don't get me wrong. Within the context of the movie, it really works. But yeah, I'll let
yeah.
someone else
And
talk.
we'll get into why it's like an incredible like MCU movie. And I think to kind of echo a little bit that and build more on like the Sadie Sink, Jean Grey understanding. I don't know if you guys are familiar with like gymnastics in the Olympics or some of the other events and stuff like that. But not only do they have like a score, right, on how they perform, but there's a difficulty score that comes into play beforehand. Where you can see, oh, this person's gonna try some crazy ass shit. So they have a higher chance to score higher than somebody who is doing much simpler techniques and stuff like that on the floor. I feel like that's a great comparison for Jean Grey's character in here, in that she maximized her emotional impact, but the lines that she was given, the role that she plays, I feel like was pretty vanilla in order to make sure that wasn't like something that she had to crazy come in and have a crazy performance, because you have everybody else there to carry that for her. She just needed to give a great performance in a simplified role, and that works against the character Dream Grey, not necessarily against Sadie Sink's portrayal of the character. If that makes sense.
So, a question off that, because this is obviously the big philosophical question of the movie. And of course, it has dominated our community and our space. How do we feel about Jean? I mean, obviously, this is a founding X-Men member. We've all been around Jean Grey our entire lives. Do we feel like they went a little bit too far on the villainous side? Or is it, hey, they took Jean's sister. She's just trying to get her sister back. How does the team feel about a founding X-Men member having people jump in front of cars and get ran over?
I think that's the one point. It's the car point. Other than that, she kind of fit into the whole, oh, I'm just trying to save my sister. I'm going to do whatever it takes. It's that family member. But as soon as they glossed over, because they never brought it up again, she didn't serve any type of penalties for just basically pancaking a guy in front of that car. Then, but other than that, she was just quote unquote saving her sister.
Dom?
But yes, I agree. It might have been a little bit too far, but I think the damage control went further. And just to talk about how they're setting it up, I appreciate how they're setting it up to be multi-dimensional moving forward. You know, if they don't have Jean Grey push the limits, then it's like, oh, they're just too mean to the mutants. Why are they doing that? But when you have the mutants actually do some terribly truly things, then it adds context to kind of what in the future, the DODC might be doing to them. We don't know which direction they're going to go, but I appreciate that it adds context. Me personally, I forgive Jean. I think the DODC was just way awful, and anything they did was way worse. You've got, Frank out here killing thousands of people. No one ever seems to have an issue with that. So
Mhm.
I'm definitely more on the side of Jean Grey, being fine with not getting in any trouble for what had happened, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I think the impact needed to be there, and I think that it was for her character and the way that she has to kind of stand up um, against, from her perspective, is just the government in general, and that's in all forms, right? Spider-Man has a relationship with the cops versus the Department of Damage Control. To Jean's character, they're all the same. it's all oppressive against her. So like, and when you push down people like that, you're gonna get nasty responses, and that's where it's like the job of the storytellers to let us know, like, even though this is occurring, what is at the core here? Who is responsible? And then how do we go through that? And I think they did a really good job of that.
Well, tiny side note. I mean, didn't want to do it with the whole town, right? She took over the whole town. Jean jumped through a couple people. I mean, she
Yeah.
did make Grandpa go like this in front of a car, but
He
Tank was.
lived.
I
He
wonder
didn't
how many.
die. Come on.
No, yeah, I mean, Wanda's straight up a villain and was a villain at some points in the comics, so I feel like it's understandable for her. It just seemed like, and again, I agree, Dom. I I just wanted maybe Spider-Man to hold her like a little bit more accountable. Again, we understand why, but it seemed like it was okay, like everything's all good, and maybe that's because obviously he has more context and information. But again, I do think when you basically control hundreds of people and you kill people that like look, that's
Yeah, that I mean
Spider.
that
Can you
comes
at
with
least
territory.
tell her that she can't do that again? That's all.
Yeah,
That's all I'm
Well,
saying.
I,
yeah,
I
and
think
then
the reason why he doesn't is because he's kind of complicit in it. By being so naive about DODC, which is kind of a negative point for me on this movie, being that naive and trusting of them after they pretty much prosecuted him in the previous trilogy, and now we're just all trusting of them. Surely he had to have known what happened in New Jersey with Kamala Khan. Like, I don't know, man.
yeah,
I thought
but
he was being so naive about them, and so I
there's
think
like
he
that.
shoulders some of that blame.
Yeah, there's like that scale, right? I don't know, I'm coming up with this on the fly, the Winter Soldier scale, right? Where, at this point, the DODC is not Hydra that's infiltrated our government systems to break it down, but they're not, nice guys. We're lying straight up to Spider-Man. And when he like our boy Bill Metzger, aka Milchek, from Severance, is coming through and rolling through, and he has taken every single negative thing that has been put in front of him and turns it into a positive instead of just scrapping it out. Where is the spidey senses there? Where is the
Yeah.
the ability
That's
to
a good
kind of
point.
understand? And
Spider sense.
he is trying to play that role as somewhat of a government agent, and because he's naive, right? He doesn't have that same level of like Cap going against, the Hydra infested shield. So
To Dom's point, though, like in Far From Home, he gives the glasses to Mysterio. Obviously, a huge fuck up and one that like we'll guilt him for forever. But like, do you feel like he should have learned from that and handled the situation with with the damage control better and not trusted them, or you think this is just something that's he's always going to do?
I think that he does a really good job of being like the quintessential hero in this. That like you could see how people err on one side or the other more with like Iron Man and some of their behaviors and stuff like that. But for me, like we talked about this Friday night after watching it for the second time, one of the moments that really sticks out for me that shows that he can be a hero, he can hold you accountable, and at the same time, he can bring you compassion is when um Jean gets the what's it called again? The neuralize or
injector.
whatever on the back of her neck. Yeah. And then gets shot with a dart. And Peter, who has just experienced two major things in a very negative way from her. On the physical scale, she sent Hulk after him, right? And then on an emotional scale, she used MJ's affinity for him, their relationship, how much he cares for her, and severely like post-traumatic, like maybe even spurring on, his transformation a little bit faster. And despite those two things that Jean does to him, she's caught now. And if she's falling, she deserves to be held. She doesn't deserve to smack it to the ground. He still has that compassion for her. So I feel like he walks the line perfectly. And that's why, you see Frank, you see everybody when they look at Tom, they look at Peter, um, they see a good dude, like the quintessential hero.
Yeah, but I think something that gets missed or maybe overlooked too a lot of the times is, kind of like his great mentor Stark, a lot of his problems are self-created. You could almost look to every movie, all four of them, most of the problems in that movie he kind of creates. Certainly with No Way Home, don't get me started.
Yeah.
But it seems like in every movie he kind of creates all the problems. So it's like, at what point are we going to stop seeing that? I'd like to see that side of his game mature a little bit more and stop creating the problems for him to solve. It's easy to look like a hero when you're fixing your own mistakes.
Damn. So a follow-up question to that, because in this movie, Gene is like the big problem. That's not connected to him though, right?
I I think it is because I think if he was not so naive about damage control, he could have used his spider senses to sense what was going on, and he could have helped Jean a lot sooner and saved a lot more, you know, issues, you
Fair
know?
enough. Fair
I
enough.
mean, in fairness, though, the spider sense is for him, though, right? It's not for like somebody else is
Yeah,
in trouble or
understanding that that's like direct. Yeah,
danger, direct danger, maybe.
Yeah, but he was
I
able
don't know
to
if that's
sense when
that
Green
goes
Goblin
towards.
was going to turn on him out of nowhere, but he can't sense when damage control is spoon feeding him bullshit.
I mean, he's still younger generation, and it all comes from that inability and less life experience. He's still trusting, and then we get into the, oh well, he's a good guy, but then that also leads to the whole trusting thing. If let's
yeah,
say we didn't know Jean, and we didn't know who she was as a comic book character, as what she's going to be for the MCU, and she just whispers, and she is just bad. If she
yeah,
whispers some name, he's gonna be like, what name? What is this going on? But what if it was just somebody to help her get out of custody? Or what if it's like it could have been a bad thing, a negative thing? So that trust, that willingness to
yeah.
help does and can go too far.
Yeah, and I like, yeah, I agree with your point. And he follows up with it, right? And immediately goes to Metzger as the trusted source in that time. Every single time information is passed on to him, he gives a little bit of something to Metzger and like to help figure that out. So I think like I completely agree. Because like even in our own judicial system, right? You have to get caught, and there's that air of trust that we have to give you until that point. And I think he models that well, where it's like, once I know you've lied to me, once I know someone is being mistreated, I'm going to jump to that side to be able to gauge that. But until that point in time, I'm supposed to have that trust in you, and I still have that faith in the systems that are set up beneath him.
He's too young to be
Yeah.
cynical.
Yeah, he's in a tough spot because he never fully trusted the director of damage control, but
Mhm.
Gene was kind of out of control and creating a lot of collateral damage. So he kind of had to like move in that direction while also figuring
Yeah.
things out. But to Dom's point, he figured it out a little bit too late after they already captured Gene. So nah, I guess that's kind of a fuck up.
And she has that tie, right? That tie to X-Men, maybe that isn't full, like that we understand. That's like you're gonna choose to go against the mutations your bodies have, the changes your body's going through. There's like a fundamental piece there. I don't know if it's necessarily established to that point yet that can be brought, but we all know that's the reason why their separation and their conflict is occurring, a big part of it.
No, he was just scared to your point. He was just scared of what was possible and not being that nice and that good person no more. Because it came out when he was fighting
Yeah.
Scorpion and he didn't want to fall into that again. So it was just he was scared. He was acting off of emotion.
Which is what he typically does. And now he's created the mutant collar. And that's, I don't know if anybody's ever made a bigger mistake than that in the entire history of the MCU. I mean, what this will lead to is absolute torture and Genosha. And,
Well, I mean, if Ultron would have won, then I mean that could
but
have
he
been a lot
didn't.
more
But he didn't.
right?
Yeah. I mean, Judge is still out. We'll see what happens with the mutants, but I just don't see how they don't go towards Genosha.
My
But
my die is cast. Iron Man was worse.
wrong. You honestly believe that?
The AI, yes, because
What?
okay,
Okay,
okay. So
so
in a little background
so
to our
500
viewers,
people die in Sokovia is worse than thousands of mutants being tortured and then the entire most of the race
that's
being killed in Genosha.
mm,
Or the entire
I
Is that
think.
planet
what we're
taken
saying?
over by
Well, so
AI
okay, so
and killing
so
all the
this is
humans.
this is my whole thing, right? So the question is what is worse? Stark creating a suit to cover the world, and then it turns into Ultron, or is it Spider-Man's creation of the collar, the mutant collar that limits the ability of mutated DNA and powers to come out. My point on that, my sticking point
You're
is
missing a
that,
lot, though. You're just saying that all it's
go
doing
ahead,
is,
give more context.
well, all you're saying is it's just limiting their powers, but you're not looking at the bigger picture of what it does
Slaves
is
them.
torture and
Okay, enslaves them.
enslavement
Okay,
and
okay,
genosha and genocide.
yes,
You know,
yes,
all of that goes with that, does it not?
yes, and then you're looking at um like worldwide slavery of everybody with Ultron.
But it
So I think
didn't happen. We
the
have
highest stuff,
revolt
yes.
there.
But what I'm trying to say is that my sticking point from those two arguments is that Peter is trying to solve something inside of himself. If this was Iron Man trying to create something like that to fix his heart problems, like the core in his chest, right? That's different. But this is him going beyond that. It's not him trying to save himself when he's trying to solve the problems of the world. He's okay at that point. Peter's not okay. Like that is something physically reacting within
But
himself that he's trying to
he
kill.
shouldn't even be trying to fix it anyways. It's Bruce warned him about how
He doesn't.
dangerous it was, and he, like Einstein warned Oppenheimer, and yet he still did it.
Yeah, but he almost killed a cop himself because of the mutations of what they were doing to his body. And it's
Yeah.
like to what
He
we
needs
see
to
on
sort
screen.
it out by not being so mentally unwell. I mean, he was a shut-in. He was not having friends. He was not
Yeah,
seeing
he
people.
sacrificed everything in Peter, like he talked about. He sacrificed
Correct. So he needs
the
to fix on
entirety
his
of
mental
Peter.
game, not try and
Yeah, that's
fix his
fair.
DNA. You know, like
Well, but that's what's
he
going to
has no
stick out
business
most in the
altering that.
moment. Well, that's what's going to stick out most in the moment because Spider-Man is threatened. He cannot become Spider-Man. That's the only thing he has left. And if he can't control himself, and it's not necessarily, as easy as fixing all those other things if the mutations inside of you are changing. So but it's
But
a great
they're
talking
only
point.
changing though because of his darkness that he's created in his own life.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
literally the spider. It's literally the spider mutation too. Like I don't
Yeah,
know if that comes.
but they gave this
Yeah, they
whole
talk about it. Yeah. Gene
yeah,
talks about that. That you had taken out all of Peter. So what the spider? What else is the spider going to do to take over? So like it is a yeah. It's a good area of discussion.
I think, yeah, I want to chime in too.
Yeah.
So obviously, like immediate impact, you would have to say that Starks was way worse because they had to deal with Ultron trying to destroy everybody. But I will say, and I do agree with Dom, fundamentally, the idea that you're going to try and use tech to like suppress and reverse a mutation, I think is like the more immature thing to do. At least Stark was using the technology and the AI to protect our planet because we had extraterrestrial threats. I think that makes much more sense. But when you're trying to put tech in your neck to stop a mutation, I just think that you haven't matured enough yet to like really be like that hero. And also to add to that, to speak to one of our earlier points, again, there's a lot going on in the movie, but letting technology like that get into the wrong hands is like we have to blame you for that because now we'd have to assume that damage control got a hold of like the inhibitor,
Technology. Yeah.
the technology, which is on again, like that speaks to the immaturity. You are putting out technology that can stop people's powers and change who they are, and then you allow it to get into an organization that was using you. That's tough. And again, I get it. He's young. There's a whole lot going on in the movie. There's a lot of big pieces. I mean, Gene's like literally jumping from body to body, but just gotta expect Spider-Man to be better.
But
In my
I mean,
opinion, like talk to me.
you guys are. It sounds like, and I'll just make this really quick. You guys are adding another layer to what Peter did, right? You're trying to say he let this technology go out and get taken away from him. Stark didn't let that technology get away from him either. So that's like adding on another layer. We're telling and saying that Peter is letting it happen when he was only meant to try and control himself, right? He hits his body, his choices, right? So he
but
can,
it fell into the wrong
But
hands. So he's
but that's not, again,
responsible.
that you're adding on a layer to something that he has no control, he had no intent to
No,
do.
he has control. He's
He had
fucking
no
Spider-Man.
control
He
over
needs to
someone
be in
taking
control.
over no one taking over his
No,
technology. He didn't say, "Here, use this, take this,
you beat their
warp
ass.
it
You
for
don't
someone
let them take
else's."
your tech. You're
I don't
wrong.
see how it's any different though. I mean, than like Stark's technology getting taken advantage of. I mean, he had every intent to do the right thing with it, but then it gets utilized in different ways. I feel like it's similar. Again, though, like so what Stark did, like had immediate consequences. But my whole thing is, and again, we've all been around the X-Men our entire lives, pro mutant. If you try and change like a mutation with tech in your neck, I just like lose respect for you
But
because
he
that means
doesn't.
you have no acceptance of who you are, and fuck him for that. So
And
Ex-
I feel like he also just doesn't learn ever. He's
Well,
very stubborn and set in his ways. We just went through this in No Way Home where he tried to turn the bad guys good by putting chips in their neck. That didn't go well. Then you try it again. It's like it led to your aunt's death and you put
that's
flowers on her
so
grave
funny.
every day, but you don't
Oh
learn any lessons.
no,
What
not
are
the
we doing?
flowers,
I'm just
man.
saying, like,
that's
How
what
much money
Dom
did he spend? What's his yearly allowance on flowers, Purge?
mistakes that he hasn't learned from. That's hilarious. But okay, but Dom, like, just question for you to actually like make this a little bit more positive. I mean, do
Yes,
like
bring it back.
Spider-Man like matured? Like, did you feel like he got to that place of maturity in any other areas, or is he just like pretty much kind of a failure for you in this movie?
No. I'm just being I'm being hard on him because I think he has the ability to
Because
be
you're a
great.
Stark
And
fan.
I
No, I'm just
hold him to a high power. I'm a Stark fan, and his father, his mentor, would want to be proud of him. And so we
That's
hold
funny.
him to a high
That's
level.
funny. That's
But
funny.
I thought we got to see him really mature into the character in the opening
Yes.
sequence by defeating all the villains very easily. He seemed, very sure of himself and confident and putting Frank in his place. And every
Yep.
conversation he was a part of, even with Banner, he seemed like he was, had the upper hand. So I
And I
think
want
there's a
to
lot of
go
maturity
ahead.
there and good things there from him. But also, I'm going to hold his feet on to the fire on some other things. There's good and there's
I mean,
bad.
it is Spider-Man. He
he
is.
he
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 is. He
literally
is.
thought he was turning into a spider. Like he thought he was turning. He didn't know about mutations. He doesn't know about all the other possibilities. He literally thought his body was turning into a spider. And I think anybody here would try and do something to save their mental, save their who they are as a being, because he literally was afraid that he was turning into a real spider, a
But
man
I like
he
spider.
he
that.
got the information that was happening because of his bad mental health that he was doing. So he needed to go to betterhelp.com, the sponsor of this episode, and get some help, not
The
mutate the
better outside.
DNA. We all need help, and we should go to
Yes.
betterhelp.com.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, his
Okay.
go-to was to use tech, like which I think was the wrong move and immature for
Yeah.
someone
Okay. So,
leading all the
like,
Marvel heroes.
yeah. So to go on like his growth, to wade us back into the realms of positivity too, and to speak on exactly what you're talking about, Dom. One of the particulars of the scene that I found was awesome was when he walks up to Banner. Right, it's shot that he's coming up to the teacher's standing up on his podium, he's looking down at him, but immediately it shifts to them eye to eye, and the very last question that is asked is from Bruce to Peter. So like when we talk about what he's been through in the first three episodes, he's always had an older brother, whether it was Stark, whether it was Mysterio, Nick Fury, Doctor Strange. He was always little brother at the end of the day in all those previous movies. So here we really got to see him, and like you talked about with Frank, he's going back and forth with him. Um he's really established himself as ready for a leadership role, even though he's still making his mistakes, superhero mistakes along the way.
Go home,
Um
Frank,
Frank.
yeah,
Go home.
Frank,
yes, and I really
Frank,
like.
this is the Hulk. This is way above your pay grade.
I know you had all hands are going like, where
I
are we
told
at?
you, watch my girlfriend. What are you doing,
Yeah.
Frank?
Yeah.
I
What are you
really,
doing
Frank, go
here?
watch Zendaya.
yeah. I really want to shout out this movie for something that I didn't really agree with Thursday night because, as you guys know, I was very much in my feels for wanting this to be a Spider-Man movie, and what I really came to appreciate Friday night was how balanced of an MCU movie that this is not my point. This is your guys' point. This is Ken's point. Um, on how balanced of an MCU movie this is and where it's placed in the bigger, collection of the MCU is perfect because like you have the past, right? In the Hulk. You have the present which is Yelena, and you have the future, which is uh, Jean Grey, all coming together. And you're also bringing in the TV series, which is Punisher, which is Frank. And you're bringing all that together cohesively. And Tom gets to be the one that interacts with all of that. And they do such a great job in this movie, balancing it out as an MCU movie. Guys, what do you guys feel about how this has gone in terms of how it fits into the greater collective?
No, I mean, first to tie a few things together. I mean, I thought the way they used Yelena was perfect, not only because Florence Pugh is amazing in that role, but because it automatically levels Spider-Man up. You're talking about the leader of the new Avengers, and Yelena didn't talk to him really like a little brother. I mean, someone that is in
Yeah,
a different field, sure, but you could tell she had a lot of respect for him. And even though, again, she has access to way more resources, she
yeah.
still spoke to him like an equal. Like,
Yes, McDonald's French fries to steakhouse baked potatoes, I believe was the comparison.
yeah. But in Jerome, to answer your question, though, I mean, again, like I mentioned earlier, the way that they were able to introduce literally one of the main X-Men members, but also introduce the idea that this is why in the MCU, like the public and the government would be against like the X-Men and the mutants, while also progressing Spider-Man's story, while also
Yeah.
giving us a real savage Hulk scene, while also like implementing Frank. I mean, it's really like very, very impressive. I mean, we all know we're headed to Sentinels, X-Men, all that good stuff. But for them, not even just like that, they just planted the seeds. They literally started it here in Spider-Man's movie, and it didn't get in the way of Spider-Man. I have a whole lot of respect for
Yeah.
them for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And I kept playing it off like it did, and it didn't.
I agree. That's really good points. I mean, that's why I think for me this movie is holding my favorite Spider-Man spot right now is simply because of how they have all these storylines going and they intertwine them so well. The writing is incredibly strong. The acting performances are great. I love the plot and storyline. I honestly think it's probably my favorite of all the Spider-Mans just because of all of that. I have a list of negatives. We could
Mhm.
talk about the action short. We could talk about some continuity stuff, but just the fact that the writing and the storyline is so good and weaves a lot of things together really brings this movie up to a high score for me.
Dom, quick question for you. I know you work really hard for your money. You're a civilian in the MCU. You have seen behind the scenes what Wonder Man did. You saw what Jean did. Do you invest any money in the Sentinel program? Your hard-earned tax dollars.
No.
Like Lando?
Ethically, no, I can't. I can't.
Love it.
Um,
Still
but
pro X-Men on the call. I love it. Pro
yeah,
It's
mutants.
hard. It's hard because we know too much. Maybe if you like put yourself in the fact that you don't know anything about the history of
You
the
know, we're
X-Men,
aware of the X-Men. We're right, yeah.
yeah, it would
We're
be a
about-
harder. It would
What
be
are
a
we signing
harder
up for when we
answer.
say yes to that question, Ken?
Yeah, it's tough.
What's
Sentinels
anyone
being
signing up
created.
for?
Sentinels being created.
Yeah.
Wait, but like, okay, so I don't. Again, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I'm pro mutants. Man, I mean, for someone to have that type of power, though, like Jean, literally with just her telepathy, shut down the entire movie. She had everybody going everywhere. Hulk, Frank, Spider Man. They were useless. That's before she gets telekinesis, and that's before her telepathy can control the entire borough. That's pretty impressive. And then even Wonder Man, though, like Wonder Man, again, we've seen behind this. We are the audience. I mean, Wonder Man walked into a prison, Supermax prison, I believe, and took out someone, and no one could do anything about it. It's just and I know it's like freedom and all that type of stuff. I'm not putting my money into the Sentinel program either, but fuck, I mean, I don't. Do you guys have any idea how to stop those type of guys, or because I
You
mean,
know what I
Spider Man
would invest in, Ken,
Sokovia
is
Accords.
kind of like what I would like to invest in real life, in today's real life, which is just better mental health, better mentoring systems for the mutants. And I don't know, I'm not sitting here saying, yeah, Professor X's school is the answer because it has flaws, but I would like to see a better program that can help bring mutants together and get them trained in to be Avengers. Let's get them on our side to protect our planet. Which is it's not something that is in the history of the X-Men, and everybody always turns to Charles to kind of do that, but maybe there's a better way. and if not, I'll give my money to Charles.
Yeah, I mean, like what stops, knocking out Sarah and then being like, okay, hey, so now we restrained you. You can see your sister, and we don't have to kill you. I think when you're jumping to that, where you're trying to abuse the powers to the point where you kill the person who you've captured, you
Well,
lose everything else.
I mean, I guess the point though, and why like the bill would get passed though, is how do you enforce any of that stuff to those characters without Sentinels? You know what I mean? Like you don't
A
have the
leader.
firepower.
I think you need a true leader, someone who can,
President, another
I mean,
president.
maybe, yeah, but like someone who can be a liaison as an Avenger to Congress to say that this is the right thing to do. This is what we need. I'm not saying Tony Stark could have been that person. Obviously, he's gone. And I'm not saying he could have done that role, but we need somebody to step up to be a leader that can help make a positive change.
So can Spider-Man be that though? Because in the movie they position Spider-Man as like not even just a mutant, but like an ally to the mutants. Seems like he's someone that understands where they're coming from, would align
By
with
the
them.
end of the movie,
Because he's not a mutant, but he, has the mutant powers. Can he be that? Does he have that maturity, Dom, that to be that liaison, or we got to find
does he?
That's a
Does he
great
need?
question. I think I need to see a little bit more, but by the time that we have to make those decisions, it could be another 5 years. So
He
I
needs
think
three
there's room there
trilogies
to
before
mature
he
up.
stepped into that role.
But
you need
give
a
the glasses
Professor
to
X
Mysterio.
Magneto school. You need an Xavier school, but that's also ran by Magneto. So you kind of get that
Oh,
whole
here we
balance
go.
of power.
Here we
yes,
go.
let's get
97
Magneto
Lincoln.
was right to start, not Magneto was
Yeah.
right at the end. Okay,
I mean,
how about we get it right?
you're always going to have that balance between the two, right? You have the long, arduous road that is taking time through schooling, through education to understand, or you have the quick and dirty method that if they hit me, I'm gonna punch you in the mouth. And we're not going to look past that. So, like, and in both are entertaining thoughts because in real life, both those things are required at different points in your life. Whether it's Magneto's side or Charles's side, you have to be ready for both.
That's why I love in '97 too. You get to see them together, like forwarding the mutant vision as opposed to apart. Apart is just too extreme, both sides. Obviously, I would take Magneto if I had to take one or the other. But to Light Lando's point, which I 100% agree with, because I myself have, and this speaks to the movie in general, like we actually get to see like a core mutant that's like a really good character, like a good person, Jean Grey, before X's school. I like that because it puts more respect and emphasis on just how important that school is. To everybody's point, it should not just be X. He cannot be like the face of everything. We won't get anywhere there. But again, I just like seeing an X-Men that is literally like supposed to be like morally perfect before Xavier School, having people jump in front of cars and get ran over.
Mm.
Yeah, and then I think like let's bring it back to the movie too. I think we're getting farther and further away. I kind of want to talk about favorite scenes, so I'll kind of lead with mine first before we kind of open it up to you. One of the things I do want to talk about, like going back, I know we're four dudes on here, so the chances we talk about romance in the cosmos of it all is very slim. But my sticking point, right, and it's kind of on the opposite side of romance, is MJ's performance when she has Jean in her and the words that she uses. She said, "True love's kiss breaks the spell. The star-crossed lovers come back together." MJ would vomit. She would be in disgust of that. And you get to hear it from her voice, from MJ, from Zendaya, living out how Jean's interpreting her. And it so speaks to like my favorite scene that is them coming together in not necessarily, obviously, it's not Sadie Sink saying that, right? It's Zendaya's performance in being able to understand what that scene meant and how to deliver that with Jean in her head. She had to channel that, and I think that was like such an incredible part of this. And I'm bigger on to MJ's character, the way that she goes about what she needs to hear from Peter. I don't know how much like of an impact Zendaya has on forming the role of MJ like through this point, but I feel like even maybe beyond Tom Holland, like because she like it's a minor role, right, as MJ. But to me, she's been one of like the most impactful characters, like in Spider-Man in general, because like her take on MJ and her personality, like when Jean, once again through MJ, tells Peter, "Hey, like I like your girl. she's smart. She's a little dark and twisted too. Like in the way that she shows compassion to uphold, like, hey, Peter, you should have told me this. We should have been able to have this conversation. This is my choice to make. I deserve to know that information from you. And them dealing with the fact that Peter does not have that or she does not have that connection to Peter anymore, but still showing that compassion of like, okay, I'm straight with you. I have no feelings for you. I have no members of you, but I still want to see you there with Ned. And that friendship, once again, like it always has, blossoms. And it's like it's through her doing, because Peter's not that alpha character that's going to be able to take that and run with it himself. She provides that context to him. And it's so funny because another small scene in here, I know this turns into like just an MJ shout out, but in the first episode when she's in detention, or the first movie when she's in detention, she's like, I like to draw people in crisis, right? And it's played off as a joke. Here she does the same thing, right? Where she draws the Ned and Peter sketch with his mask off of them interacting. And in a much more sweet way, in a much more compassionate way, she's doing the same thing. She's drawing Peter at like his moment of crisis, not in a way to mock him like she was doing to the teacher in detention, but she is literally doing the same thing as the first movie. So I just wanted to shout out that scene of her, those, well, really two scenes of her and how she has gone through, Brand New Day is like one of my favorite characters across the MCU.
Yeah, it's a good scene. I think the moment where you realize that it's Jean Grey controlling her is kind of almost up there with the moment that you realize Green Goblin is going to turn on them. I kind of got
Okay.
very
Yeah,
similar
yeah,
feelings.
that's great.
And I
Yeah,
really
that's
like
great.
that scene. I had it like in my top 3 too of favorite scenes. So it's a good choice for sure.
Yeah.
Dom, did you have a scene for us or?
Oh, okay. Yeah, mine. My favorite scene, I will probably go. So like I'm kind of caught between two because I don't know if I want it to be a Jean Grey scene or a Spider-Man scene. I'll just give a
Mhm.
quick one for both because I thought Jean Grey kind of dominated this movie. I thought she was like my number one in this movie. I think
Yeah.
just the moment when she realizes her sister is dead and she figures out the whole the VMAX
VMAX.
thing,
Yeah.
and you see her powers just on display in her rookie season do things that Charles Xavier was doing. I mean, I was so impressed by that. And not only just like freezing everybody, but while she's freezing them, taking control of the hand while talking to Peter, while holding Milchek, all in, like everything.
The
She's doing
glasses
so
inching
many
closer and
things
closer to
at
his
once.
face.
Yeah, I think it's incredibly powerful and something to see. So I'd put that as probably my number one. For
Mhm.
Spider-Man, just a quick shout out to him. I thought the opening scene was really good. The chase scene with the tank, you get to see these angles of of Spider-Man flying through the city and the POVs and the way they shot it, the cinematography, the way he's kind of swinging through the city. You get to see it
Yes.
in a refreshed way that looks really really good. And I thought they did a really good job on that. So that opening kind of chase scene I put for my favorite Spider-Man scene.
Yeah.
Like Lando, what you got?
So, I got less than 3 minutes because my computer's about to crash on me. But
Good.
so I'm the visual person. The first scene and how I saw it compared to the other
Yeah.
movies, they initially showed him swinging through the city. They showed from his perspective. It wasn't the first initial scene, but it was near the beginning, and I think that movement is kind of the quintessential of a Spider-Man, seeing from his eyes, seeing his perspective, how he moves to the city, and how he just
The
sees the
vibrations of
city.
his web as he's slinging through.
Yeah, I thought that was just really well done, and I haven't seen that like style before. I could be wrong in other
Yes.
movies, but that was the first that and that visually stuck out to me. It still sticks out to me now. You guys brought up amazing points in the fact that how they've weaved all the different types of storylines, the TV series, the movies, MCU, the up and coming. I thought that as a whole was beautiful. I do need to mention before I get kicked off. Um, to me, the storyline was a little bit uh, like predetermined, or I could see it coming, not because like I'm that good at picking it out, but we already know who Jean is. As the more, not the common fans, because we're not common fans, we know Jean is who she's going to end up being. We know about what mutants are going to be in this and coming up in this series.
Yeah.
So to say that, oh, we're supposed to trust the government right off the bat, you can tell he's lying throughout the whole thing. That part to me, for me, was like the weakest part of the movie. But what made up for it is all the characters. I think every character played their character right. I don't know if Punisher was even needed in this movie, but I think all the characters played their parts very well, from Scorpion, like to Tombstone, right? For that two
Yeah.
seconds he was on screen, he came across and looked like Tombstone. Um, and then Hulk gaining some little bit more points for me because I'm a big Hulk
Yeah,
fan.
he's been his longevity thing here, right? Spends Udonis
Yeah,
Haslam.
yeah, and then this time he actually got rid of the hipster Hulk no more, and I was very appreciative of that. And just coming
Yeah.
back to form, coming to who he is, we get the whole long, lifelong comic book
Yeah.
long of speed versus strength when we get Spider-Man versus Hulk. Um, I
Yeah.
mean, if that goes to distance, I'm taking Hulk anyways. But he
Yeah.
kind of gives up there at the end. So, I mean, there was a ton of highlights. There was a ton of greatness for me. I originally gave it a 7.8 when I first saw it, but just talking about it here with you guys, just thinking about it again, I am gonna see it again. I could
Yeah.
easily. This is if probably one of my favorite, if not favorite, Spider-Mans of the three. So I would probably raise it up to not much, but just to like 8.1 or something like that. So it was
Yeah.
definitely a solid movie for me.
Yeah, and just to touch on that too, like the whole Bernthal thing, it's so funny because like Bernthal has become synonymous with Punisher, and like the method that is Punisher, the method that is Frank is so just like one tone, and not in a bad way, but he plays that character, and it's so funny because another thing I came to appreciate, small thing, was when Gene takes over his head. His physical movements and the way he talks and everything is such a fucking 180.
So
So
funny.
like shout out to Bernthal because once again, like they get a chance between him and Zendaya's MJ get a chance to switch it out. You gonna say Lando?
That's it.
We'll get
That's his
him.
computer dying.
He's got so apparently
Yeah.
Peter's inhibitor got to his battery as well. We'll check on that for him. But yeah, so like Bernthal in there like really gets to like in that brief moment in time for the switch up, like played that so perfectly to like what I guess how Gene would change him.
Yeah.
It really was
What did he
perfect.
say? When when Aggro Hulk came out, he was like, "Good luck with that." Gene was channeling him like, "Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'm out of
So
here."
funny. And then
Yeah.
too, like when you bring it back together, like all three of them combined, um, between MJ, uh, Punisher, and Peter, like the New Yorkers in them that were like as they were going back and forth, talking over each other multiple times throughout the movie, like I really loved that because it's like it's really bringing those together. And I do feel like he was like, while maybe not necessary to bring there, like it was great to see the TV series really come over and have a well played role that Punisher was in this movie.
Yeah, but if I could touch on that, and it is one of my negatives, and I did mention it on Thursday, was the
Yeah,
fact that yes, bringing over Frank is good, but to not touch on anything else seems bad. It just seemed like in the opening part of the movie, they had a chance to address the events of Daredevil Born Again, and
yeah,
they don't at all kind of explain how we went from, Fisk being anti-Spider to a new mayor to everyone loving the Spider again. And so I don't know. I thought they could have done a better job of addressing that. Obviously, it alienates
yeah.
people because not everybody sees the TV shows, but I'm a diehard, so I like to see that stuff, you know.
So what about you, Ken?
Yeah. So, of course, three
What's up?
brilliant diehards have spoken before me. I don't feel like I don't have that much to add. But I just want to give a shout out to the extras. Like,
Yeah.
whenever someone was pretending to be Gene's character, I believed it.
Yes.
Not even just
Yeah,
Frank and
Scorpion
Jean.
2. Scorpion
Yep.
2. Yeah.
Yep.
And
Yep.
their
Yep.
physical movements too were great. The way
Yes.
they
Yeah, the people
you
that
could
Peter talked
display
to
it.
on the street
Hmm.
Yeah.
before he goes to
Hmm.
see MJ. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep, yep. So that, and
Really
then
well done.
also how they depicted Jean's powers. I mean, I just love like how unorthodox and like jarring it was. It would like jerk your entire body. And there was this one sequence where she was jumping from like bodies, she jumped from like four different bodies in the span of like, I don't know, 20 seconds. So I
Yeah.
thought that was cool because, again, to our larger point, if you're just on the ground in the MCU and you see something like that, you would literally be terrified. So,
It's fresh
Yep.
too. It's like a new
You have no
take on it.
agency.
We've never
No
seen that
agency, no
before,
memory.
you know?
Yeah.
yeah, just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And I appreciated how they added into like a scientific method, right? That became the 33 feet that she could jump, like adding in that like systematic way of like, okay, this is how her powers function, really adds to like, scaling and how we can kind of go about everything.
Well, and to Dom's point, I mean, really, with just a 33-foot radius and just telepathy, she was like
Yeah.
terrifying. She was like literally the most powerful person in the entire movie. And that's
Yeah.
before she got
Easy.
telekinesis and
Yeah.
burrow level
Yeah.
radius for telekinesis. Terrifying.
Absolutely.
And yep. Anything else, Ken? Anything else, Dom? We have Lando back. We've taken the inhibitor off of his computer. He's back on with us again.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a little small list of negatives if anybody wants to address any of them.
Let's do it, Dom. Works for me.
Okay. I'll just run through them real quick, and you guys just tell me if you want to talk about any of them or if I'm off base and you don't think it's a negative.
Yeah.
Firstly, the hand. Not really sure what how they were being controlled by the damage control, how that made any sense for them to be
Man, that was
working
so
with
funny.
them.
To see Metzger there in his suit and tie and like the same haircut he's probably had his entire life since his mom had him do it when he was fucking 5 years old. To sit there in front of a group of ninjas and like check in with their government issued ID badge.
Yeah, I
That
thought
part
that
was
was
so
really
funny.
weird. I thought it might have just worked better if the hand wasn't in it at all. And in the final scene, instead of Peter fighting the hand, he fights all the villains that he put away in the intro of the movie. Tombstone, Boomerang, Tarantula, and Scorpion all versus Spider-Man. I thought it would have worked way better.
Yeah.
Just my
Yeah.
thought.
Your girl, I mean, your girl was so cool about that though. Like when the third act, the ninja fight,
Yeah.
how they're all operating as one unit, not because
Yes.
they fight like a team, but because Jean's puppeting them like one unit. That
Yeah.
was really cool. So for me, like
Yeah.
it didn't bother me, but because that part was so cool and probably like
The
my
action
favorite.
was really
As
good.
it
I will
is.
say that. Yeah, the action was great there for sure.
Yeah.
The another negative, the moral of the story and being practically identical to Thunderbolts, action being too quick, just when it's getting good, it's over, and not seeing the new Avengers Tower in the skyline when it should have been there. Feel free to touch base on any of that.
When you say it's too similar to Thunderbolts / New Avengers, like Sentry needing to accept like the other side. How are you saying it?
Yeah, because like the whole thing about Thunderbolts is not giving into your darkness, relying on love and friendship to get you out of dark times so that you can conquer.
Yeah.
And kind of the reason why Peter's darker side was taking over was because his friends were not with him anymore and he was alone and he didn't have anybody to count on. Kind of sounds the same, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think like even to the bigger point of that, like Aunt May coming in, I think the words that she chose were like some of the worst that I've probably heard. Like, "You're beautiful." Oh my God, like miss me with that shit. And I think they could have like that was probably the worst scene for me in the entire movie. Because I think what you can do there that you may not be able to do in Thunderbolts, because they're still all coming together. So it's like it's a bunch of strangers trying to find room for each other in their lives. What you could really do there is because Aunt May is not going to give some philosophical speech that's going to move us. But what you can do is take Peter in her hand, and then in doing so, taking Jean's hand and being like, I don't have something amazing to tell you, but I will be here to hold your hand. Like the interconnection that is like what she's missing to like end it on like "you're beautiful" was terrible, and she really could have just leaned into what like in like someone that's there by your side in the worst times, that has built that like longevity of a family with you, or a friendship necessarily, is what she needed more. And instead we got "you're beautiful." So like right to that, like they could have executed on the relationship that, the familiar relationship that is so important to Peter's life in there a little bit more. And then him coming to be like, "Oh, I'm here." Oh no, and Gene saying, "Nobody, like,
Yeah.
I'm alone," and he's like, "Well, I'm here next to you." Like that doesn't hit that right. Like you just met her, you just went through all this. That
Well,
Yeah,
that scene
it
missing for
certainly
me.
didn't hit. Yeah, it didn't hit well for sure.
I mean, I just tiny counterpoint. I mean,
Yeah,
the intent and the point was is that she got to see that they both went through similar traumas, right?
yeah,
She had just lost her sister. He had just lost May.
hmm,
Maybe in dramatic ways. So if she's able to be in his mind, get his feelings, see from his perspective, maybe at that point she saw, okay, well, I'm bonding with you. I can see your point of view because I can feel your point of view.
yeah. I'm sorry for your aunt, like
Yeah,
she says,
sorry
because
for
you're
your
able to
aunt.
step
I'm
into
sorry
that.
for you, so you can understand what I'm going through from my sister with my sister being gone as
Yeah,
well. So,
yeah,
and I feel your empathy. I feel how you're lost, and I can
yes,
translate that into my own and take that into my own.
yeah. I think that gets us to the level of understanding that like what we're seeing is like two people being compassionate for each other and understanding, but to get us to an emotional impact level of, oh, like that's exactly how it felt. Like the tears coming, the eyes swelling up. The words were just bland as shit to get us
Yeah,
past
I
understanding.
didn't well up. I didn't feel emotional at all. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
Well, I
right.
mean,
You're
she
right.
couldn't use the line with great power comes great responsibility.
Maybe she should
Oh
have.
no. I no
She
no
Come
no
couldn't.
no
on,
hell no. Hell
tell
no.
Gene. Gene
Drop
needs
that
to
shit
know.
too. That's
Oh,
worse
Gene
than what we
needs to
got.
know.
well, well.
Not to hear that shit again. You say Ken?
God.
Something that I haven't really been able to, I think, find a through line to, and hopefully, like you guys can help me out with this. So you have Gene, Hulk, or forgive me, Gene, Banner, and Spider Man, and I think
Yeah.
like the message of the movie is to not suppress like parts of yourself. Obviously, when it comes to Spider Man, it's not suppress like the Peter Parker side, but also like not suppress the second mutation. I get that. With
Yeah.
Gene, like I think it's a similar thing. It's all about, welcoming like, the mutant side and the mutant powers. But
Hmm.
Banner is where it kind of gets like weird for me because when Peter meets Banner, he's just Banner and he's suppressed like the Hulk side, but he's telling him like, you can't do that. I I don't really get the through line there. I mean, because the way
Well,
that the
I
scene,
guess his was so specific because it had the radiation in it, and what Peter was gonna do, he brought in there universal. So like I think it was so in
okay,
particular, and
gotcha.
I like maybe I'm
Yeah.
playing against the side I was trying to battle against earlier now, Dom.
But but then
But
that's
he
the
Well,
talks
I'll
about
counterpoint.
it
get you.
being
I'll get you
universal.
eventually.
Yeah, I've checkmated myself.
But isn't
But
that a
Peter talks
counterpoint
about it
though?
being universal. What?
Isn't that a counterpoint though, to the sense that I mean, he learned how to become the hipster Hulk, right? He kind of combined who he was
Yeah,
plus who
Thanks.
he is,
yeah.
which but he was
Well, to some
suppressing it. He
degree,
was
but then
turning
he
it
still
down.
needs it.
He still needs the Hulk
Yeah, that is
because he's just
interesting.
Banner now, right? He's back to being Banner. I think that's suppressing. That's doing what Spider-Man was trying to do.
Yeah, but the
Right?
way they explained it is kind of like how Josh was saying, like Bruce's thing is just going after one strain,
Gamma
whereas
radiation.
what
Yeah,
Spider-Man's trying to do is
at a
almost
universal
rewrite his
aspect.
DNA on a more multiple strain level. That's the way they explained it, Ken.
Gotcha.
But I kind of understand why you asked the question because
Yeah, we get into some nerd shit
it
now. Yes,
it
sir.
doesn't. You're right. It doesn't seem like too big of a difference to what they were trying to
Yeah.
do.
Gotcha. No, no, that
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. Like
So
if it's
instead of making a universal and made it just for Arachnid, then Stark would be the more worse one, right?
Yes.
Stop,
Exactly.
stop,
Exactly.
stop, stop.
Exactly. Right you are.
And the flame has been stoked. But yeah, I think that with that, guys, anything else? Are we feeling? Nice.
Sorry. Yeah, I
Go
mean,
ahead.
look,
Go
this
ahead.
movie's making more than Avengers Endgame. We do have a
Yes.
lot
Wow.
to say. We do have a
Oh my
lot to
God.
say.
That's what I'm
Another like
saying.
minor thing that I don't think I've like ever seen this before. I don't think I've ever seen any of the live action stuff, but like you could actually see like Tom's eyes in the mask. I thought that was like really cool. Like the closer you
Oh,
get, like
yes.
Hulk could
Yes.
see, and then Zendaya
Yes.
too. I'm like, that's
Yep.
right.
Yep.
I was like, I've never seen that before. That's like really
I
cool.
appreciate that.
That's all.
Yeah.
And Doomsday's going to do better than this, right?
It better.
Oh man,
It will. It will. Come on, Ken. It will.
You have the Avengers, and then you have Spider-Man. It's crazy. Like, oh man,
It's crazy that we're
I'll
even
say yes.
debating it.
Yes.
It's yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
man.
for
Yeah.
this movie to make this much money, like, imagine how much money No Way Home would have made if it didn't get released in the pandemic. It's crazy to think like
Yeah.
Spider-Man is on another level. Like,
Yeah.
I still would say Doomsday, Eddie.
Yeah. But yeah, with that, guys, and that ties right into like a great last point. Like DDC, Destin Daniel Cretton, like shout out to him. Like what we had talked about earlier, the direction that he has in the early scenes with Spider-Man and the way that we get to feel the web vibrate, we get to feel like we're moving between buildings with him. To the eyes and making them somewhat visible through his mask, like what
The
he's been
suit
able to
rippling.
direct, been able to do,
Yeah.
coming out of Shang-Chi, coming out of Wonder Man, and now with Brand New Day. Like it's been incredible to see how he's taken the creative process and he's established a lot of new things, you know, with the Spider-Man while balancing out the entire MCU at the same time with past, present, and future and the TV series all here together. So with that, guys, we appreciate your time. Please, you've been here. If you've been here with us, you've been here with us for an hour. So we appreciate that. Please consider subscribing,
Diehards.
liking the video. Leave your comments down below on what you feel like, who's worse, Stark or Spidey. And I'm glad we're out of the Captain America versus Stark stuff anymore. Oh man, that was years off my life on that battle. But yeah, we appreciate the time, guys, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you.
No, no, no.